time to read some more of Supercat versus the Chip Thief. I can't wait. This chapter is called Wonderfully Smelly. The motor castle left the golf course and screeched round the back lanes. If a tractor or truck appeared, the castle parked and pretended to be a building. When the other vehicle was out of sight, it zoomed off again. I wonder where we'll end up, said James. I hope it's a burger bar, said Supercat. I've missed so many meals, my costume's gone baggy. The elastic in the pants looked as if it was about to snap, but James didn't like to mention it. A bargain bucket of fried chicken would be nice, sighed Supercat. But Count Backwards' HQ didn't stop anywhere near a fast food place. It went along an old railway track, past the docks, across the wasteland. It's slowing down, said James. The castle came to a halt near a fleet of helicopters. It's parked by an old ketchup factory, said James. Wacko's Cut brand. Good, said Supercat. I like ketchup. Wacko's Cut brand. James had never heard of it. He mixed the letters up and scowled. Kurt Bacon Dorks? So, Count Backwards. The factory must belong to him. It was heavily guarded by the calculator crew. Whatever he's making in there is not tomato sauce, said James. There was a terrible smell coming from a massive metal skip. My super feline nose tells me it's horse poo, said Supercat. I could have told you that, said James. Supercat folded his arms and looked a bit cross. The castle door opened and Count Backwards appeared, followed by more members of the calculator crew. Some had empty sacks, some carried spades. The Count pointed to the manure heap. Get shoveling, lads. 5, 4, 3, 2, wonderfully smelly, he said. The Count gave a ghastly grin and went back inside the factory. The calculator crew climbed into the skip and they began bagging up the manure. This job stinks, said Mr. Plus. Gets right up my nose, said Mr. Minus, but don't tell the Count. I'll give you one guess what he's doing with all that manure, said James, watching as the calculators carried the full sacks into the factory. Putting it on his rhubarb, said Supercat. No, making weevil bombs, said James. Let's spy on him, said Supercat. James hesitated. Hang on. How will we get past the guards? I don't know, said Supercat. You're the brainy one. Just then James spotted the perfect opportunity. Fancy a brew and a bicky, Mr. Plus, said Mr. Minus. I'll join you in the canteen, Mr. Minus, said Mr. Plus. They wiped their hands on their uniforms and went for a tea break. Now's our chance, said James. We can hide in a sack. There was one by the skip. The calculators had left it half filled. You're joking, said Supercat. But he wasn't. James waited until the guards weren't looking. Then he ran over to the sack and held it open. In you get, Supercat. Supercat took a step backwards. Oh, I'm not sure my superhero outfit is safe to put in the boil wash. Tigerman is never afraid to get his hands dirty, said James, jumping in. Supercat held his nose and climbed after him. They crouched down in the bottom of the sack. James sprinkled manure over their heads until they were hidden. The calculators will think the sack is full of poo and carry us in, he said. One of us is full of poo, grumbled Supercat, and one of us has to clean his fur with his tongue. It was warm and steamy in the sack. Supercat dozed off. 10 minutes later, James gave him a nudge. The calculator crew are coming back from their tea break. Supercat woke up. His head was muzzy. Where am I? He said. Is it night time? No, said James. We're in a sack full of... Shh! Supercat squinted through the holes. He saw 2 pairs of boots covered in numbers. My back is killing me, Mr. Plus, said Mr. Minus, but don't tell the Count. As you gave me a ginger nut, I'll give you a hand, Mr. Minus, said Mr. Plus. They tied up the sack and swung it into the air. They carried it into the factory with James and Supercat inside. Bump, bump, bump up the stairs. I feel a fur ball coming, squeaked Supercat. Big hairy one. His body stretched and shrank like a concertina. He started to retch. Swallow it, said James. They'll hear you. Supercat clamped his paws over his mouth. His cheeks ballooned. His eyes watered. Has it gone? Whispered James. Supercat stroked his throat and gulped. Yes. No. I'm not sure. Mr. Plus stopped walking. A metal door opened. On the count of 3, throw the sack, Mr. Minus, said Mr. Plus. 3, 2, 1... Heave, Mr. Plus, said Mr. Minus. The sack slid down a chute and landed at the bottom. Supercat clawed a hole, and he and James climbed out. They were in a storeroom full of sacks of manure. No one was around. You can bring up your fur ball now, said James. Supercat tried, but nothing came out except a super feline burp. Oh, it's got stuck in my U-bend, he said. James grabbed him by the paw. Let's go. Look out for the guards. They ran up the stairs and down a long corridor. There was a room at the end. A sign on the door said, Do not enter. James looked through the glass panel. Inside was a laboratory with rows of huge plastic tanks inside. They were full of fat, wriggling grubs. So this is where Count Backwards breeds his weevils, said James. They're swine, growled Supercat. His ears pricked up. He could hear the clank whoosh of machinery coming from above. That must be where he makes the bombs, he said. Let's catch him in the act. Then what, said James. Count Backwards won't give up without a fight. There are only 2 of us. We don't stand a chance against the calculators. Supercat did a high kick and chopped the air rapidly with his paws. You seem to forget that I have a black belt in salami. Isn't salami sort of sausage, said James. I wish, said Supercat. In fact, salami is an ancient form of feline fighting. It was the sport of Egyptian kings. It is extremely deadly. He flew through the air and prodded the up button on the lift with his toe. Have no fear, Supercat is here, he said. It's too risky to take the lift, said James, sending it back down. It'll be guarded. You can't fight salami style in a tight space like that. We need to find another way. There was a panel in the wall. He pulled it open. There was a ventilation pipe inside, just big enough for a boy and a fat cat to crawl through. It must lead to the top floor of the factory, said James. After you, said Supercat. After you, said James. You can see in the dark. It was pitch black inside. There were a lot of twists and turns. James felt as if everything was closing in. His heart was racing. He stopped still. Supercat kept walking ahead, chattering away. But when James didn't answer, he suddenly realised he was far behind him. It's no good. I can't do it, called James, trying to back out on his hands and knees. Supercat tried to turn round to fetch him, but the tunnel was too narrow, so he reversed until he bumped into him. Never fear, Supercat is here, he said. Your bottom is in my face, said James. It's okay, I'm wearing pants, said Supercat. Hang on to my tail. Off we go. You can do anything when we're together. James inched forward and grabbed hold. Even though Supercat was pulling him along at top speed, the tunnel seemed to go on forever. We will get out of here alive, won't we? He said. Supercat did his best to jolly him along. Tiger power, rah, 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 he said. James, I've been wondering, do you think I need a new catchphrase? At that moment, James didn't care. He was struggling to breathe. I can't keep using Tiger Man, said Supercat, hoping to take James's mind off things. How about, is it a bat? Is it a rat? No, it's Supercat. That's silly, laughed James, forgetting to be scared. How about, I've earned my stripes? Not bad, said Supercat. Or how about, hang on to your hat, it's... Look, said James, we're nearly there. He could see daylight. Supercat dragged him along to the end of the pipe. Then they both dropped down silently onto the balcony. They could see right into the factory below. A stream of grubs flowed through a tube into vats of manure. The manure was then squirted into weevil bomb moulds on a conveyor belt. When they reached the end, they were tipped into barrels and taken away on trolleys by the calculator crew. They must be making thousands of bombs a day, whispered James. We have to stop the production line. Suddenly, Supercat spotted Count Backwards sniffing one of his own bombs. 5, 4, 3, 2, wonderfully explosive, snickered the Count, rocking the bomb like a baby. I will destroy every potato in the land. There will be spud wars. People will be fighting over the last chips, and the Secret Service will have to sort out the chaos. That will teach them to get rid of me. How dare they say my mind had turned to mash? I'll make them eat their words, but they will never eat chips again. Ho, 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 ha! Never eat chips again? Supercat filled with rage. Before James could stop him, he spread his claws and threw himself over the balcony. Hang on to your hat! It's Supercat! He yelled, aiming for the Count. Count backwards looked up at the oddly dressed Tabby, hurtling towards him, and only just managed to roll out of the way. Good catchphrase? Bad move, he screamed. Seize him! Your days are numbered, Supercat. Well, I can't stop there, can I? I'm just going to have to read on. Chapter 7, Dogfight. While James gave the calculators the runaround up and down the fire escape, Supercat put up a good fight. He held off 9 crew members with his lightning-fast salami moves. Then somehow his cape got caught in Mr. Plus's belt. In the kerfuffle that followed, Mr. Minus grabbed Supercat round the tummy, squeezed hard, and a fur ball shot out. It landed on Mr. Plus's lip and stuck there like a snotty moustache. Supercat stopped fighting and started to laugh. As he rolled about giggling, Mr. Plus lifted him up by the scruff of his neck. Look what the boys dragged in, my lord, he said. Count backwards pulled Supercat's mask forward and pinged it. Well now, who do we have here? Is it Tigerman's chubby infant daughter? Supercat pointed to the S&C on his costume. Respect the letters, he spat. This is no baby grow. Count backwards patted him on the head. I must clip your claws, he laughed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 down, 1 to go. Somebody grab that scrawny lad. James was so worried about Supercat, he was caught off guard by Mr. Minus and hauled in front of Count backwards. Got him, my lord, said Mr. Minus. He's a slippery little devil. The Count flicked James on the nose and counted his freckles. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 too many for my liking. Your number is up. James kicked and struggled. I know what you're doing. I'll tell the Secret Service, he said. Count backwards clutched his sides and chortled. Small potatoes. They're powerless to stop me. I'm blackmailing them for the enormous sum of 5, 4, 3... He stopped mid-speech and glared at the fur ball stuck to the calculator's lip. You need a close shave, Mr. Minus. Tie that brat up with his moggy. Then come to my chamber. I will trim your moustache with my cutthroat razor. You'll never get away with this, said James as the calculators bundled them away. Do the maths, called backwards. Me, divided by 1 fat cat plus 1 small boy? It's never going to happen. You must multiply your efforts by 9.8088796544 times 803.478.976 to defeat me. Your arithmetic is mental, said James. Good always triumphs over evil. Count backwards did a crazy dance towards him. But not over Weevil, he said. I'll Weevil bomb every country in the world, starting with France. At 5 o'clock, I'll fly across the channel and begin my attack. He lobbed a Weevil bomb over the banister. They won't know what's hit them, he sang. They will be fighting over French fries by Betty Buys if I've done my sums right. He began to sob hysterically and curled up on the floor. And I did my sums right, Mummy. Why are you doing this? Yelled James as the calculators dragged him to the basement. You're so selfish, said Supercat. Count backwards dabbed at his eyes and called down the stairs. Me? Selfish? I cracked the hardest sum in the universe. I should be a hero. But no, the Secret Service left me to rot. Sweet potatoes, I'll get my revenge. The calculators wrestled their prisoners into a dark room and tied them to a chair. Ouch! He scratched me, Mr. Plus, said Mr. Minus. The cat, said Mr. Plus. The boy, said Mr. Minus. My finger's gone puffy. I'm allergic to boys. Come, I'll fetch you a plaster, said Mr. Plus. I'll draw a smiley face on it. They slammed the door and left. James tried to wriggle free, but the rope was too tight. How will we ever get out? He cried. You've only been here for 5 minutes, said a sulky voice. I've been here for 5 months. I'm bored out of my enormous brain. Through the dim light, James saw a short man with a long beard, tied to another chair in the corner of the room. Professor Sprout, said the man, chief scientist for the Secret Service. How did you end up in here? Asked James. The professor sighed deeply. I was kidnapped by Count Backwards. He's holding me to ransom until the Secret Service pays him £1 billion. Supercat went into a yoga position and nibbed at the rope around his paws. That's blackmail, said James. But why did the Count kidnap you instead of someone really important? I am really important, grunted the professor. I'm the world's expert on weevils. It's forced me to breed a potato pest that multiplied faster than any other. If I refused, he threatened to have me mashed, boiled and fried. Supercat bit through the rope and leapt out of his chair. Ta-da! He began to untie James with his super feline thumbs. If only I wasn't such a genius, groaned the professor. But I created those potato-munching weevils and I'm the only one who can stop them. How? Said James, as Supercat loosened the knots around his wrists. I can breed a bug that will eat them all, he said, clicking his fingers. I could save the potatoes just like that. But until the Secret Service pays Count Backwards his $1 billion, my hands are tied. Supercat whisked the rope away. Not anymore, Professor. You're free to go. Professor Sprout twiddled his fingers. Marvellous. I must get to work at once. He went over to the door. Locked, he tutted. Has anyone got something pointy to open it with? Supercat showed him his super feline claws. They looked like Swiss Army knives. Take your pick, Professor, he said. Sprout pointed to the middle claw and Supercat jiggled it in the keyhole. There was a click, then the door swung open and they all ran out. Not so fast, said the guard, grabbing the professor by the beard. Professor Sprout screamed like a lady. In a flash, Supercat dropped to the floor, tied the guard's bootlaces together and nipped his ankle. The guard went to kick him and fell flat on his face. That will teach you to pull someone's whiskers, said Supercat. James ran upstairs. Follow the signs to the exit, everyone. Head for the heliport. They raced outside just in time to see Count Backwards marching towards his helicopter. He had a new set of propellers. James looked at his watch. It's 5 o'clock, he gasped. Time flies when you're fighting crime, said Supercat. It's the Count who's about to fly, said James. If we let him go, he'll hit France in less than an hour. They ran towards the enemy helicopter. Come back, Backwards, shouted Supercat. The Count stuck out his tongue and climbed into the cockpit. You wouldn't catch fleas, he snickered. You can't catch me, you furry fool. He started the engine. Supercat took a giant leap and hung onto the helicopter tail to try and stop it taking off, but even he wasn't heavy enough. The helicopter lifted into the air, but he clung on. Count Backwards spun the helicopter and shook him like a rug. Drop it, pussy cat, he cackled, spinning even faster. Suddenly Supercat lost his grip and with his left paw. James was hovering underneath, but there was no way he could catch him if he fell from such a great height. Hang on, Supercat, he yelled. Left paw up a bit. But Supercat's cape had blown over his head. He couldn't see what he was doing. In his panic, he suddenly let go. James covered his eyes and waited for the thud. He flies through the air with the greatest of ease, sang Supercat. James watched in wonder. Supercat's cape had filled with air like a parachute and he was floating gently down onto the runway. As soon as he landed, James gave him a squeeze. He was so relieved. I thought you'd used up all 9 of your lives that time, Supercat, he said. 1 down, 8 to go, said Supercat. I'll not rest until I catch Count Backwards. Nor me, agreed James. But I need to think of the best plan of action. There was a whole fleet of helicopters lined up near the launch pad. He turned to Professor Sprout. Do you have a pilot's licence? As you're the only adult, we need you to shoot down the Count's helicopter before he drops more weevil bombs. The professor went pale. You won't get me up in one of those things. I'm scared of heights. Fell out of my pram when I was a baby. Supercat tapped James on the shoulder. Hello, I have superpowers, remember? Hold on to your hat, it's... Yes, but you can't possibly man a helicopter, can you, said James. Supercat narrowed his eyes. Well, I'll do anything for a chip, he said. Believe me, fur will fly. Supercat jumped into the nearest helicopter and strapped himself into the seat. "I'll be co-pilot," said James. "And I'll be hiding in the gents until you get back," said Professor Sprout. The helicopter whirred and lifted into the air. James checked the compass. "Count backwards is flying 50 degrees south." "Not for long," said Supercat, pulling on the controls. They chased after the Count. He cursed them with a string of foul sums and sped out of sight. "Oh, bulldogs, we've lost him," said Supercat. James studied the radar. Nothing. "There he is," he said. "Bring him down over the river. We don't want innocent people to get hurt." "Will do," said Supercat. "Which button launches missiles? This one." He gave it a prod. A woman burst into song. "That's the radio," said James. Supercat pressed another button. A blast of warm air shot up the tailhole in his costume. "That's the heater," said James. "Try the red one." Supercat thumped it with his paw. A stream of potatoes thundered out the helicopter's giant spud gun. "Third time lucky," said James. "Keep firing, Supercat. Force count backwards, forward." Supercat was confused. "Forwards, backwards? Make up your mind." "Engage him in a dogfight," said James. Supercat's hackles went up. "A dogfight? Excusez-moi. Do I look like a dog?" "This is no time to worry about your appearance," said James. "The Count's getting away. Go after him." "I'm doing it," said Supercat. "I'm doing it." He made a 3-point turn and shot after the Count as he zigzagged ahead of them. "We're on his tail," said James. "Take aim." "Fire!" Supercat hit the red button. Ack, 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 ack. The Count dodged behind a big black cloud. "Missed!" spat Supercat. "I'm almost out of ammo." "Where's he gone?" "My flying goggles have steamed up." James wiped the lenses on his sleeve. "Better?" The black cloud moved. Supercat's tail bristled like a toilet brush. "I see him." The Count was hovering over them like a giant bird of prey. But before he had a chance to attack them, Supercat performed a daring death spiral and dropped out of sight. "Great move," said James. "Great navigating," said Supercat. "Thanks," said James. "If we don't make it, I want you to know that I'm really glad I never swapped you for a crocodile." "To your right, to your left, aim, fire!" Ack, 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 ack. A plume of smoke billowed out the Count's helicopter. "Got him," whooped James. "He's going down!" The enemy helicopter went into a nosedive, buzzed like a dying wasp, and hit the surface of the water. They watched as it sank slowly beneath the river. "Good riddance backwards," cheered Supercat. "We shan't be seeing you again." "No, I wouldn't count on it," said James. Well, we've just read 2 chapters, and once you have carried out the reading task and the writing task, you can treat yourself to the rest of the book, which will be in a video after the reading task and the writing task. So until then, you'll have to wait and see what happens next.